Hi guys, welcome to another RGI Sewing tutorial. And some time ago we started our series on how to identify professionally made garments, and today we're going to continue with that. Now, what the first area that we want to point out in garments that are professionally made is stitch quality. The stitch quality of your garment is very important because, of course, that is going to determine the durability of your garment. Sometimes you put something in the wash and right away the stitching rips or something comes apart, and often it is because that area, perhaps it could be wear and tear, because if you've had the garment for some time, of course, there's a tendency that will happen. But there's also the situation where if you had poor stitching initially, then you're going to have the garment ripping or tearing as a result of that. Now, your stitch quality is going to be determined by the type of needle you use, the thread you use, the stitch length as well. This dial here on the machine is called the stitch length dial, and the numbers on there, 1, 2, 3 onwards, those numbers basically represent millimeters. So for example, you have stitch length 1, 2 or 3, that is equivalent to saying 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, and so forth and so on. The regular stitch length is between 3 and 3.5 millimeters, but that also depends on the type of fabric that you are sewing. Once you've determined your stitch length, you need to ensure that your fabric, your needle, and all of those things correspond. There are particular types of needles for sewing particular types of fabrics. As we have said in previous videos, we have a video in the description segment that you can look at for more details on that. So you want to ensure that all of these things correspond. Okay, you all, so this is what proper stitches look like. And if you are a seamstress, a tailor, a sewer, as long as you're involved in fashion, you need to be familiar with what a proper stitch looks like. Okay, it is called a lock stitch, and that is because of the way that the stitch is actually formed. It looks like this. If you actually look at it being formed, this is what you have. Alright, so if the stitch is not properly done, you will find that it is either too tight, and if it is too tight, then if you pass your fingers over them, you're going to feel light knots. And if you look at them, you're going to see something that resembles a straight line, even if you know that there really should be a number of stitches. So you want to guard against stitches that are too tight. You want to guard against stitches that are too loose. Now, if the stitches are too loose, if you separate, or if you try to separate the two pieces of fabric that would have been sewn together, what you're going to have is that you can actually see through those two separate pieces of fabric. You're not supposed to be able to see through the fabric once it is stitched. Okay, so you want to guard against stitches that are too tight, stitches that are too loose, and the stitches that are not properly formed. So again, this is what a proper stitch looks like, and whether you are sewing for people or people are sewing for you, or you are purchasing your garments, these are things that you would want to look at. These are things that would determine whether your garment is professionally sewn or not. So guys, this is the first point we're covering in how to identify professionally made garments. I hope that you will be able to determine that going forward, and I hope that you will find this video useful, especially if you are in the sewing business, so that you can give your clients quality work. Thanks for joining us today. Until next time. Bye.